What's up, everybody? This is BakaBites. I am Frankfurter. That is Magically Average. Today, we are going to be talking about what we are watching this winter 2024. Now, don't be confused. This is not a preview episode as we usually do. This is us actually watching anime and
Oh my
talking
god.
about it. We haven't done that in a while. At least for current stuff, we do retrospects of like, oh, this is what our favorite thing of the season was, or this is our favorite things of the year, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But we really haven't taken the time, I feel like, to talk much about what we currently watch throughout the year. Since we really were doing weekly episodes of like, this is what I watched this week, this is what I really enjoyed,
Yeah.
and
Which god,
stuff
that
like
that feels like forever ago at this point.
It does. I mean, even the news segments feel like forever ago as well. So
I know.
that's been over a year, I
Y'all
think. So
remember when we did all that stuff?
yeah. But yeah,
We're
no.
old.
So we are nearly halfway through the winter 2024 season, which is a weird thing to think about. We are a week away from the halfway point.
Mhm.
Starting today. Well, not today probably, but essentially
Close enough.
episode 5s are coming out this week. So we're about halfway. But yeah, no, I kind of had the realization this morning, afternoon ish today at some point that I was like, wow, I really am watching a lot. Like, let's really count how many shows I'm watching. And I've already forgotten how many I am, but like looking at this one page, I have 8. I
Oh,
have
okay.
8 here. There are multiple shows I haven't started. There's 9 if you count Hulu. I haven't started one on High Dive, and then there's a 10th on Netflix. But I feel like there's even more because I just am forgetting.
What the hell's on
So
Hulu again?
it's Undead Unluck. It's still going on.
Oh, that's right. It's a continuation. I'm so far behind on that.
Yeah, I'm quite a few episodes behind. I'm on 13.
Yeah.
So I'm like 4.
No,
4 behind.
I'm like a season behind.
Oh, so you just haven't even like started essentially.
No. It's because it's on Hulu. It's like the last place I look for. I literally, my order of anime that I watch, because right now I have zero time. The only time I have been able to watch anime is when I like work out. If I'm biking or something, I'll get like 2 to 3 episodes in for a bike. And I go Crunchyroll. And then if I've caught up on everything there, I go to High Dive. And then if I've caught up on everything there, I go to Netflix. And then I just stop. Like my brain doesn't even go to Hulu. My brain just goes, just watch a YouTube video, then finish out this bike ride. Like I totally forget about Hulu. Another reason why I'd really, really would rather it. Like either Hulu has to go all in, or Hulu needs to give up the reins.
Yeah, I'm actually looking through like the simulcast list on Crunchyroll because I was like, I feel like there are other shows that I've at least started watching or am currently watching
Yeah.
that I'm just forgetting about. And there are 2 on this list that I have watched multiple episodes and do want to continue that I just didn't have flagged. So there are literally like 10 on Crunchyroll, 1 on Hulu, and 1 on Netflix. So I'm
Yeah.
watching about 12 seasons or 12 shows this season.
Yeah.
But to just kind of get it out of the way, the continuations we already said Undead Unluck. I'm a little bit behind on that. You're very much so not even started on that.
Yep.
But on top of that, the big one, Free Run's continued. They are just mid. I don't want to call it a tournament arc, but testing arc.
I mean,
Uh,
I mean,
kind of is, but it's like a
mean,
test. At least the
it's the
tournament,
same.
because this first thing is essentially a contest tournament thing.
Well, it's
free for all.
it's by rounds, right? It's like
Yeah, but all the rounds are. Oh no.
that's like saying
yes.
to get into the Magical Knights in Black Clover, like it's a tournament. It's like, yeah, it's a tournament, and you're like, well, no, it's a test because they're testing to see if they're eligible to be in the Magic. It's like, no, don't kid yourself. It's a tournament arc.
Yeah, but
This
I
is a
also
tournament
just
arc.
didn't like Black Clover, so it's fine.
Fine,
I think
fine. Compare it to
I think
anything.
I think the reason why I like this tournament arc is because I've read it, so I or at least most of it, so
Yeah.
I know what happens. But also the fact that the rounds are varied. It's not just, okay, you're up, you fight, cool. Next, you're up, you fight, cool. Next. Like, I think that's the reason why I kind of enjoy this. Why I didn't mind the first one, not season 5, but season 1's My Hero Academia's tournament arc, like that one was fine because it was
Yeah.
varied. They did different things. But like things like Yu Yu Hakusho, I know everybody loves the Dark Rose tournament. I fucking don't. I do not like tournaments like that where it's just like, cool, they're up, cool, they fight, they're done.
Hmm.
Like that Dragon Ball Z, I can't stand anymore because of that. Like there are a lot of things that I just don't like it because it's just like, cool, the main character has plot armor, so they're either coming first or second. And if the world is
Yeah.
going to be destroyed, if they lose, they're coming first
Yeah.
on some sort of stipulation.
Unless you're Ash and it takes you 75
Yeah.
years to finally win. So
This is true.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the reason why I don't mind this quote unquote tournament arc for Freerin currently. But if you
I
haven't watched it, I do highly. I mean, you probably have already at least tried it because
Yeah.
you can't escape it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'll-
give your 2 cents because I cut you off.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that with this current season, I like the fact that you get to see the characters in a different way because they're interacting with strangers now. Because up until this point, it's been primarily just this core group outside of one guy who was there for a hot second, then left. But you know he's gonna be
There's
back at
been a
some
couple
point.
of those, but
Yeah, there's been a few, like any good adventuring story. But this is like the first time where you've seen the group split, so, except for our boy. God, I always forget his name. I forget most of the characters' names. Freerin and Fern.
mean,
That's about all I know.
Yeah, I was about to say Freeman and Fern are about the ones
And then
that I know.
the kid that got trained by the dwarf. Can't remember his name.
Already forgetting his name.
I love the fact that because it's Freerin and Fern in the test, we'll say, so your brain doesn't hurt. And then it's just him. There's one scene with him because we haven't seen him in like a couple episodes. Just him at a bar. He's like, I get to stay up late and I don't get in trouble. This is weird. And then the bartender's like, you're living a pretty good
You
life,
have it
kid.
bad, don't
Yeah,
you?
oh, yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, you have it bad, don't you? And then like the episode ends, and I'm like, what a
Stark.
great way.
Stark is his name. I definitely did not just look that up.
Spark?
Stark.
Oh, Stark. That's right. I was like, it's definitely not Spark. He's not a dog. Yeah, Stark makes more sense. But no, I've liked it. It's a quite a departure from the first season, but I don't mind it. It's odd though. According to a lot of different fan voting sites I see online for like weekly polls on which anime is the best and who's the best anime dude and chick, Frieren just keeps going lower and lower, like week to week to week, and I think it's because of the test
like now,
the test arc.
Well, I feel like notoriously tournament arcs really kind of they weed out some people. I know others hate them more than I do, and I'm not a huge fan of them. So that I don't I foresee that makes sense. But I feel like once it's over, they'll just read it like, oh, okay, this is what happened. Cool, I'm up to date. Let's go again.
Honestly, it is surprising though because it's the first time we get like true action.
Yeah, and it's also kind of just like, hey, we are progressing the quote unquote plot of this story for now. So it is interesting, but at the same time, it's not surprising because also that mid-season jump where it's just like, cool, you have 1 week off, and if you don't watch it that first week, you're behind already.
Yeah. That's true.
And with all these other new shows coming out, you're like, shoot, I want to watch all these. I'm going to put this on the back burner because I already know I like it. And then you don't pick it up again, which has happened to me multiple freaking seasons in a row. Like, Undead Unluck is my example for this season. I just haven't gone back to it. Last season was Dead Mount Deathplay. The season before that was Bungo Stray Dogs. The season before that was Birdie Wing and Link Click. Like, there's so many shows that I haven't watched, like the part 2 of that season or the next season that I'm just like, well, crap.
Yeah.
But I made it a point to continue watching Freerin, and the other one that I know you and I have made a point to continue watching is the Apothecary Diaries.
Which
that is another continuation. Yes. Yes, you sent me a photo that I did not understand until you actually pointed it out to me because it was the most obscure freaking just screenshot of what was going on in the show. You were on your bike. You sent me a picture of like your basement, which was clean, and I was like, "Oh, you cleaned your basement." He's like,
okay, well,
"No, I'm watching the show." I'm
you don't have to get into my
what show are you?
Life.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's the only time I've seen your basement, but anyways,
You also didn't even
Um,
comment on how near the TV we had the flowers from, I can never remember the name of them, but it's the from Demon Slayer, the flowers that ward off demons. Can never remember the
mhm.
name of the actual flowers, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember them
Um
either.
yeah, Apothecary Diaries is the it's weird in terms of how the second season's going. I'm enjoying it. I don't know how far you've gotten.
I'm
Um
caught up.
oh, okay, good. Uh it feels more mystery sleuth than anything right now,
Yeah.
which not disliking by any means. Um, but it feels like there's been a pause in any kind of other progression, which feels weird given how much occurred in the first season. Because you go from a girl who gets kidnapped and put into basically the imperial palace as a servant girl, and then she gets upgraded to a taste tester for one of the courtesans, and then from there gets actually invited into the house, like at a different level, and then gets taken by the guy that she can't stand, makes the most incredible faces every
Gene,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, Junshi, Master Junshi, I think.
Yeah, but
I
they
can't
just call
pronounce
him
it.
Gene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and now is like basically his assistant. And like
Yeah,
all
in
that
between
happened.
the assistant and the middle part there, she got fired.
Yeah, she did get fired, and then she came back. Um,
Yeah.
but it's just it like there was so much progression in the first season, and you got to see a shit ton of stuff, and they did a good job of kind of explaining how the empire works internally.
The
At least
hierarchy.
at least at the courtesan level, because that's an interesting piece of history in many Asian countries. Is like the king just that's all he basically did. The king just fucked. Like
Mhm.
the emperor would just basically that's all they did. Like
Yep.
25-8.
Yeah.
But there's like a crap ton of stuff happening as well, like with the army and all the other servants and stuff. So it was that piece was cool to see. This season has been more of like a what mystery do we have today, Scooby? And then
Yeah.
Mama goes off and yeah.
All the while just like leaving breadcrumbs for like an overarching story of like between potentially like her mom and the general and her adoptive father and why he got fired and all these other things. Like they've been breadcrumbing a lot of these things of like, oh, this general fell in love with her actual mom and maybe like the dad found out or something and made a call and called it out and got fired or something. Like
Yeah.
there's been a lot of breadcrumbs here that have been building, but most of the episode has been like, hey, these three brothers, their father was a master smith and he died and he didn't leave the thing behind for them, but like they're just idiots and they don't know what the fuck to do and go figure it out. It's just like cool,
Cool.
great. We'll spend 2 episodes here doing this and shining lights through fish bowls to melt the fucking
I
metal. I
liked the
don't know.
mystery. It was like an escape room.
The way I feel like, because I had told my buddy to watch this show because I really enjoyed it and I think that he would enjoy the humor in it, but he is more so like I would like a romance, like an actual romance to it for me to actually watch it.
My happy
So he
marriage.
wouldn't, but the way I had to like describe it to him was like it's kind of a historical piece of China to deal with like also brothels and the back court of the king and also add in Sherlock Holmes and Watson
I think
type
it's actually
deals.
called the rear court, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the rear court. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember, but
And it's the pleasure
yeah.
district, not the brothels. Squeeze me.
They do call them brothels, but okay, fair
They
enough.
refer to the entirety of the area as the
That is
pleasure district.
that is fair. Fine, fine. But
You degenerate.
you heathen.
Um, yeah,
But yeah, that's how I described it to him because like that last part of it really does ring true this second half of the season.
the tone changes weird too because my wife happened to look over when I was binging it at one point, and she was like, "Wow, it went from like very chibi to just a dead body." And I was like, "Yeah, it does that. It's like it does these very large just skips in terms of like the tone and message that's coming across from scene to scene." and it can be a little bit jarring, which that was like my one big critique in the first season, was that you get like these scenes where they go chibified and it's supposed to be funny, you're supposed to giggle, and then it's like, well, what do we got here? Bitch threw herself off the wall into the water. Open her up, Doc. And the Doc's like, I'm scared. And then you're supposed to chuckle, and then she's like, oh, look at her. And
Yep.
it's like, it's really very, dark and depressing, because they're like, oh, look at all this she had issues, and it's like, what? Okay, to stop making jokes in between these like scenes, please.
Yeah, they do really kind of the one thing that I have kind of noticed, and it's been like a little bit of a sore thumb for me, just like watching it now. I think the character writing and just the writing in general is fun. It's good. It's good writing. However, they give this girl a shit ton of leeway to do whatever in the fuck she wants. It's like just because like her
Yeah.
one skill of being like able to tell poisons just makes her a master of everything, and they're just like, fuck it, just go take a look and see why this explosion happened. And it's just like,
Well, so they presented it. We're getting too deep into Apothecary
I
Diaries, but
know.
like, yeah, that is one piece that I also like had trouble with, because they're like, she tastes poison. She's an apothecary, so she obviously knows her herbs and her medicines. A lot of like the like basically being able to take what nature gives, and you can do a lot with it. Like there's scenes where she's just like rummaging off into this field, and you're like it's just flowers and shit, and
Yeah.
apparently it's not. They go from that to one of these characters being like, I hear you have an assistant who's really good at puzzles, and I was like, who the fuck established that? Like, when I never saw her do anything with the puzzle.
Great.
Yeah. My guess though, the one thing that why I can kind of look past it, is that I'm guessing there's going to be some backstory, because Mao Mao worked at a very high end and notorious brothel in the Pleasure District, where courtesans there would cost you a year's salary, because of the fact that many of them, if not all, actually have to learn like how to play Go and shogi, and do music and do dance and singing, everything like that. Like she probably learned how to play a bunch of different games through there. I'm assuming that's
Yeah.
what they're going to get to. That's my guess. But
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
it
they're
is a little bit of a
alluding
stretch.
they're alluding to the fact that her mom may have been a high-end
Yeah,
courtesan, and that's why they're giving her kind of special treatment,
that
etc.
creepy dude.
Yeah, but the last show other than Undead Unluck, which we're both behind on, that I am continuing to watch from last season is Shangri-La Frontier. I don't know if you've even started this, if you've
I've started
no?
it. No, last season was just a really poor season in terms of like any sort of watching of anime. I struggled. So there's really only the three.
The
Like
two.
there's three for me.
Oh.
Well, sorry, no, this one's not a continuation. Excuse me. It's just a second season. It came out so recently. I'm just like, cool. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no,
Well,
there's just the two.
then I won't talk at length to it, but Shangri-La Frontier, it really is kind of like, I love that the video game genre of anime. I feel like being in a VR game has kind of made a resurgence of sorts.
What do you
With
mean? Overlord's still doing well. They have a movie coming out. What are you talking
Overlord,
about, resurgence?
you
It's been
know how I
here and
feel.
just dominating.
It's not. But anyways, no, I think the reasoning why I like Shangri-La Frontier so much is that the what the crux of most of these video game VR kind of anime shows really have, or I guess, is just that the characters are way overtly serious to the point where it's like, okay, it's not a video game, it's just there's a character now and this world exists, but this character was just dropped in. Like they take everything about the world in the video game so seriously that
Yeah,
it's like a sin to do anything outside of the box and just
yeah.
like be, do whatever. And then Shangri-La Frontier just kicks down the door. It's like, hey, here's a dude who likes really shitty video games. He's going to play this really good video game and just take everything he's learned from shitty video games and just apply it here and just kind of be like not necessarily a scumbag, but like he's gonna do things his way and not the game's way, and that's what makes this show entertaining. I think it makes it great. Let alone that the characters themselves are really fun to watch, and it is just a good comedy at most times.
Yeah.
But the current arc that they're on, I've been really looking forward to. I've read all of the physical volumes that are out now, which I believe is 9 or 10 of them. Which it goes past where we're at in the season, and the current arc I was very much so looking forward to, and I was very worried that they were going to that they were going to rush through it
Mhm.
because in the volume it literally covers like 1.5 volumes. And currently they're at episode 3, and there will be an episode 4 for the current arc, and I'm very, very happy about that because it is
Hmm.
one huge boss battle, and I was looking
Ah,
forward to it,
Dragon
and it
Ball.
has not. Yeah, no, it has not disappointed. So I'm very, very happy with how it's portrayed that. But
The,
those are the continuing series that I believe you and I are both watching.
the way you
Um,
describe Shangri-La Frontier is probably like a DM's worst nightmare for D&D.
it
Just a,
really is.
just a
That's
character that comes in and
exactly
is their only objective is to just fuck with the game
fuck
as
shit
hard
up.
as hard as
Oh,
possible.
exactly. And it's fantastic. But on top of that, before we get into really like the shows that we are watching and enjoying this season, like is
Yeah.
there anything that you haven't started that you want to?
Ooh, haven't started. I mean, no, because most of the anime that have come out this season, my list was primarily like I'm gonna watch for the most part. If anything, I've dropped more than I would have thought.
Hmm.
Um, I guess the one that I didn't start, and I've never really had any interest in it. I know it's gonna hurt your little heart, but I never really had any interest in watching Chain Soldier. Wasn't really
I haven't.
on my
That's one.
list.
That's on my list of haven't started but want to.
Yeah, yeah. No, because like I tried watching Gushing Over Magical Girls and just couldn't. If you wonder why, just go watch a couple of our TikToks and YouTube videos on it. Um, I tried watching. Um, oh no, I did start watching Mr. Villain's Day Off. Really liked it. It's very cute. Just haven't kept it up.
Yeah,
Um,
I just actually took that off the list,
yeah, but there were
off of
like
my watch list.
there have been a handful that people like that you've sent me, and then like I've seen other people watching too that just didn't look interesting. Like Buchigiri, like I keep hearing people say like, "Oh, it's really good," all this and that, and I'm like, I still just don't have any interest. It looks very very bland, and from like the synopsis and the clips I've seen, it seems like it's more the comedy that people are enjoying than anything else.
So
It's just odd.
there's
Yeah.
4 episodes of it out right now. I've watched 3, and I think that I'm probably gonna be dropping this one soon.
Yeah.
This show to me feels like it wants to be JoJo so fucking bad, and it just isn't. It is
I
literally
mean,
just a
most
turf war. It's like a turf war between two high school gangs, essentially, whose leaders are like 35 years old. They started these wars back when they were in high school, and they just never stopped.
oh my
And
god.
now they just keep inducting more high school students, and it's just like this isn't like the comedy just isn't there for me. It's not my type of comedy. The
Yeah.
action is fine, but like the characters themselves, like they're animated like the character design is great. If it's got one thing going for it, it is character design.
Yeah.
But it feels like it wants to be JoJo with these kind of outlandish and over the top characters, but they just don't hit the same way. They don't hit in the right way that they should for me. And it's kind of just been like this really middling of the road show that I'm just like, do I really want to give
Want
it
to
more
put your
time?
time? Yeah.
Like I know that a lot of people are enjoying it. I mean, granted, shows aren't really rated low on Crunchyroll, but like it's at a 4.6, which I feel like is like a low end for Crunchyroll shows.
Yeah, like
Because
you mean
usually it's
in
like a 4
Crunchyroll, like
point, yeah,
in
in
Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Like in Crunchyroll, it's like 4.7 to 5 stars every single show you look at nearly. And
Yeah.
this one's just like 4.6 is like that for a big show, that doesn't seem so good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, to me, it's such a question mark still. I don't know how I feel about it.
Sorry, I know I've been
But
on my phone, but it's because I'm looking at the list of things, and I did find one. It's not even my own fault that I haven't started this. It is because
Oh.
I still believe there is no streaming services that are carrying it, and that
Oh.
is
Mhm.
Ponomichi, which is
Yep.
the anime about a girl who gets kicked out of her home and ends up going to a mahjong parlor and like has her friends over and they just play mahjong. Um, yeah, like that one just looked interesting, and I was really hopeful on watching it, but I believe it is still not on a streaming service.
No, it's
So
not. Yeah, that was on my watch list as well, but
yeah,
it's nowhere. Like you got to
yeah.
go to you got to go to the Seven Seas with like fan subs for that one.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, so going through the ones that we covered so far. So Mr. Villain's Day Off started. I did enjoy it. Need to watch more of it. Another one, Tis Time for Torture Princess. Started it. Really liked the first episode. It just again, a lot of the time when I have that availability to watch anime, it's like, oh, cool, I can catch up on X. So
yeah,
like right now I'm caught up on everything. So if I bike tomorrow, it's like, all right, cool. Now to start the ones that I've been meaning to continue watching, cuz like I'm caught up on um Freerin, Apothecary
Apothecary
Diaries.
Diary.
We'll talk about a couple more, but like yeah, like all of my main ones. I have 5 to 6 main ones that I'm like staying very consistent, up to date the moment that they air. I want to watch them. But like
Yeah,
other ones, yeah, like Tis Time for Torture. Metallic Rouge is another one that I'm in love with. I think I'm 2 episodes behind now. Absolutely enjoying the shit out of that one. Uh,
I'll be real. I really want to watch that show. It has been on the back burner for me. I've only watched episode one.
no,
I've
God,
only watched
it.
episode one, and it's just
So
sitting there. It's sitting there, just taunting
we
me.
we keep like we had an episode already about like early on in the year for like the beginning of 2024 where it was like hot takes for the new year. Like what are our predictions? What do we think is going to happen? This, that, and the other thing. Um, I made a comment on a previous episode though, but I am going to stick by it still and say that Metallic Rouge is going to win best original anime.
Yeah,
Like unless something magical comes out on par with like Licorice Recoil, or what's another like Buddy Daddies, I guess would be another like original anime that it was
or Odd Taxi.
or Odd Taxi. Yep. Well, Odd Taxi technically has a manga, but I think it might have
It
came out
came out
after.
after.
Yeah.
Most of the original shows
Get
after they air, they get a
Yeah,
manga
like
or a light
I
novel.
know Licorice it got an immediate light novel afterwards, and I think they had a manga come out a couple months after that too. But anyway, no, Metallic Rouge. I've said before, and I will continue saying until next year's Crunchyroll Anime Awards. It's going to win best original anime. Like
Yeah,
this is superb. Um, the world the world that they created, like episode one, immediately hooked because it did that perfect thing where there's so much unknown. Like you, even at the end of the first episode, when things happen, there are still so many unknowns, but they give you like enough just little nibbles to keep you interested. Like they're not like teasing you with it. They're not like, oh, you're hoping to learn more about this. Well, too bad. No, Metallic Rouge is like, you want to learn more about this? Sweet, here we go. And that's it. Like that's what the whole anime is going to do. It's going to take you on this big long ride, and it's going to be fantastic. So yeah, it's great. The animation is great because this is I think Madhouse did it. Let me
I believe you're right there.
double check. I think it's also a Madhouse like anniversary special. Oh no, excuse me, Bones did it. Bones
It
is
was one of
doing
the
it.
bigger studios.
Yeah, it's like a 25th anniversary too for Bones, so it's like a special piece as well for them.
Yeah,
Um, so like it looks pretty. The soundtrack to it is incredible. Love it. Um, just everything about it is impressing me to no end. And again, it's an original, so there was very little hype behind it when it was first coming out. And I might have seen one or two things about it on social media being like, oh, people, you should watch this, you should watch this. But like it's getting drowned out by the fucking OP to Mashal and like all the solo leveling stuff. Like,
to be fair, it is a damn
no,
good
it is. It is
OP.
great. It is great. But that's the shame of it, is that it's like some of these other anime that are coming out too that are really good. Like I had to scroll towards the bottom of live chart to even get it. And it's got like a 7.6 on live chart, which I'm like, ugh, that is
Yeah.
very upsetting. But no, I truly think Metallic Rouge is going to be original anime of the year next year.
Yeah, that's fair. Just so I can get through a few
Yeah.
shows that I haven't started that I still need to start. Blue Exorcist, haven't started it yet.
Yeah.
Really want to watch it. Um, I haven't started Mashal. I don't even remember if I finished season 1. I know I've read all of season
Can
1.
can
Haven't
we
started season 2.
can we talk
And
about
then
Mashal? Okay, go ahead.
yeah, and then I also have not started season 2 of bottom tier character Tomazaki.
Uh,
But yeah, if you want to talk about Mashal, go for it.
Well, so I want to talk about it just from the standpoint of like the so I watched like little bits and pieces of season 1.
Right.
My wife has read through everything I think that's out currently for the manga.
Well, it's
Or it's
the series
finished.
is finished.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she's done with it. Absolutely loved it. She loved the humor in it. She watched the first season through and was like, comedy just doesn't hit. And I feel like that was a sentiment from a lot of people. Was like
Yep.
season 1, comedy just didn't hit. Animation looked weird. It just wasn't as intriguing that from the manga enough to where like you would want to continue it. It was just kind of like this is a pretty poor adaptation, unfortunately.
Yeah, it
Um,
definitely was a swing and a miss for me as well.
yeah. Enter season 2, and it's like, okay, it's still the same studio, it's still the same story. It's like not that they're gonna like change things up now, even after all the reviews and everything. Like it is what it is. But add a bop of an intro by Creepy Nuts, the same artist that did the most of
Call
the
of the
songs
Night.
for Call of the Night. Like even like not even the OP in the ending. It was like some songs in the middle too.
Yeah,
Like they did a large part of Call of the
and
Night.
they cameoed as characters.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, Enter song by them for the OP, and not kidding. I have seen consistent lists online from like anime fan votes that have Mashal like top 3 week
It
to week
makes
to week,
no
and
sense.
I hear nothing about this other than the intro. I don't
You
hear
want to
anything
know
about the story. I don't hear anything about how like the characters are improving or the comedy's finally landing. I hear nothing. It's just the fucking intro,
you
and
want to know the worst
it's
part?
what?
This season is a tournament arc.
Yeah, like Jesus Christ. That is actually infuriating. That is a but that goes to a point I wanted to bring up about this, and I want to make a video on it too to talk about it longer. But it is shocking how an intro or an outro to an anime can really
Make or
cement.
break.
Yeah, it's like basically like first impression, right? Like you want to make a good first impression. Your first impression for most anime at least is your intro. Certainly there's some anime that start like first episode they don't have an intro sequence. It's just like the ending sequence is actually the intro sequence. So you get that to start episode 2. Some anime are like that. Again, it's a decision, it's a choice. But if you have a bad opening song or like a pretty boring opening song or even like ending song, that shit can affect you. And
Yeah.
then flip it the other way too. You have a bop of an intro, something that just catches you, gets you out of your seat. You're like, wait a minute, man, this damn, this thing hits. Hot damn. What the hell
Yeah.
is this? Like you could take someone who's not interested to being like, yeah, I'll watch this. Yeah, hell yeah, this got me interested. That piece is so frustrating to me. And I'll use Metallic Rouge as an example. Again, I know I'm biased, but like when you and I had watched it, right?
Yeah.
You had said like, the intro's kind of boring, and I'm like, oh, I like the intro. I like the jazzy vibe to it. I like it's supposed to be like this, like certain era, but placed on Mars. Like I kind of like the feel and stuff. You could have been a part of the statistic that like the opening is kind of bad. Don't really like.
But the thing is, I'm going to continue it. Like I
Yeah, I mean,
usually do
again,
continue the shows that I say I will.
again, we always say these sentiments to understanding that we, even for the amount of anime that we have still yet to watch this season alone, are of a very small minority too, and that we do
Right.
watch a significant amount of anime season to season.
Do you want to guess? We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are on week 6 of the year. Do you want to guess how many seasons of anime I have watched so far?
6 weeks on the year.
How many seasons I
You
have completed, not just
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
I'm currently watching.
I know. Because well, you watch anime while you work too, because
Yes.
your brain lets you operate like that. My brain does not. I'm gonna guess you've already watched 13 seasons.
You gave me too much credit. You were close. I am at 10.
Okay, I was pretty close though.
You were close.
I gave you slightly above 2
2 a
seasons a
week.
week. Yeah,
Yeah, the week just started, so
so
I'll probably hit that. Hit
probably get
12
close.
by the end of the week.
Yeah, you probably get close.
But yeah, no. Just Mashal aside, and OSTs aside, there are a lot of shows on my list, as we
Yeah.
kind of mentioned at the top. So let me talk real quick about some of the smaller shows that I'm gonna dub for myself shower shows. I do watch anime when I'm in the shower. I have like a little shelf that's by like that's not in the water or whatever, so I'll just throw my
your
phone
water
in there.
bill must be enormous.
Yeah, it's not that bad. So there are a few shows that I'll exclusively just watch in the shower because like the reason why I haven't watched Metallic Rouge is because it's like I want to watch on the TV and it just hasn't come up. But am 2 episodes behind on The Witch and the Beast, and that's because I forgot that I was watching it until I looked through the
God,
list.
I'm so sad that you're still watching that.
Honestly, it's not that bad. Episode 2 was pretty good. Like it set up a good like thing. So I'm actually intrigued by The Witch and the Beast. More to come on that. But tis time for Torture My Princess. I have been watching that. I am caught up except for the episode that came out today.
Mhm.
And it is the same shtick over and over again, but it does get like the reason I haven't dropped it yet is because each episode there's something different or new about it that it just does get a chuckle out of me.
Yeah.
And until it doesn't get a chuckle out of me, I'm like, you know what? I'll keep going. I'll keep
See
watching.
there are a handful of shows like that was my fear with Mr. Villain's Day Off, and it still is because I think I'm through 2 episodes. Is that it's going to be the same kind of shtick that is going to feel moldy and kind of gross by like episode 6, where you're just like, we got to change
Yeah.
things up, otherwise I have to drop you. I got that same feel from Tis Time for Torture Princess.
It's been
But
like that, but they change it up. Like it's not always food. It's not always the princess that's getting tortured.
that's not that much
And it's not that much different, but it is pretty entertaining. So as long as it gets
Yeah.
a chuckle out of me, I'm going to continue it. But yeah, it's by no means a great show. And then the other one, which came out of fucking left field, because I got 2 people who are really into mecha shows, and they're like, Frank, you got to watch this. You like, I know you're not a huge mecha fan, but you enjoy it enough that you have like Gundam kits, like Gunpla. You need to watch this, and that's Brave Bang Braven, and it is.
Oh god,
I think I told you about this show. It is way down at the bottom of the list. But let me tell you, if you get over the fact that it is 3D mechs, and the 3D mechs don't even look that bad, honestly. If you can get over the fact that it's 3D mechs, this is such a funny show. Because the first episode, and I'll semi spoil the first episode because there's a few more out. First episode starts out as a regular like mecha show where it's just like they have these mechs. There's nothing really outstanding about them. They're all kind of the same color, etc. And they're in a like these people are in a joint military operation like training. And the training goes well. You know, this guy, he disobeys orders, but he like wins the objective or whatever. So like he gets reprimanded, but like also a pat on the back. And then like they're about to start the next day's training and aliens invade. And they're like, what the fuck do we like, oh god, okay, we gotta take care of this. Our weapons don't work. What the fuck is going on? Oh no. Insert fucking mecha who's shiny, bright colored, like it is the main character coming from space, crash landing, and seeing this sergeant guy, and he's just like, you're gonna pilot me and we're gonna win. We're gonna beat these guys. And the guy's like, I don't know what's going on, but sure. Gets into the mech. And this is where, you know, in a normal kind of, I feel like, TV show or like over the top show, you know, people name their like attack moves, etc. This mech is like listing off attack names, and this guy's like, what is that? What are you talking about?" And then there's like also like this upbeat kind of like music going on with like a singer in the background as well. And the pilot of the that hopped in this mech is like, "Is that music? What is this? What is going on?" Like it just becomes a full-blown comedy. I know you're nodding off. Screw you. It's just a funny episode. It just becomes a full-blown comedy, and so far it's kept that up. You know what? Fuck you. I don't do this to you whenever you're talking about your shows. All right?
The I It's not to you. It's not to you. You just described something that is so incredibly overdone and boring. I'm
To
sorry.
me, it's fun. It's
I'm
funny. If
sorry.
any of that interested you, brave bang braven.
If you want to watch a
It's been
mecha,
a
go watch Metallic Rouge. Basically,
anyways.
mecha.
Let's talk about the core shows that we are watching because I feel
If
like you and I are both watching the same core shows.
except for one really fucking important one, but we'll talk about that one last. You turd.
Is that Metallic Rouge?
No.
No. Let's just talk about it now. What is it?
The Dangers in My Heart.
Oh yeah, I haven't started that one yet. It just hasn't started it.
It is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know I'm very hypocritical and I flip flop back and forth when I talk about these anime trend, fan voting, whatever stuff, but it has consistently been at the top of everyone's list every single week since airing. This season is spectacular. I wish I could go back in time when I made a TikTok. This had to have been 2 years ago at this point, where I'm like, here's a manga I think you should read. This is The Dangers in My Heart. And I'm like, it's also great because there's an anime coming out at some point. Yay! I wish I could have been back and been like, listen, you need to push this shit.
Bushy-tailed.
You need to push this shit on people. You don't understand how much people are going to like this. Your whole life now is this manga. Your videos, this manga. You're only going to talk about this manga. Like
Personality is this manga.
basically. Like I am blown away. There are very few instances I feel like where I read a manga and am this impressed on the adaptation. I'm not just talking about like the animation quality or how pretty it looks or the music design or whatever.
Adaptation in general.
The overall adaptation, and specifically for The Dangers in My Heart, it's the cinematography. There are like, this is gonna, I get this. This piece gets me so emotional too, because I like it tugs at your heartstrings. Like you can relate to it as like on multiple levels from like different people's perspectives. But the one piece that like just always sticks, and they do such a great job, is every episode they end with like this impactful message or this really gripping scene, and it always has like the cart, like what the episode or chapter is titled, right? And it's like splashes of like what the title is, like on top of like this very like just impactful music, like this great orchestra, or it could be like angelic singing or whatever, it doesn't matter. And it just wraps up so nicely. And I just watched the latest episode. I'm like setting countdowns for when the next episode comes out so I don't miss it right away. Like I am in love with this anime. They have gone above and beyond my expectations in terms of the adaptation, and I could not be happier with just how well it's been received too. I mean, it is, again, fan vote wise, beating out Frieren, beating out Solo Leveling, beating out any of the other new ones that are coming out too. Like I know popular ones are like Ragna Crimson. There's like one other isekai I think that people are like all up in the air about and just talking about constantly. It's beating out every single new anime week to week. And I'm like, finally, the slice of life, this very strange slice of life too. It's very like atypical in terms of what you would imagine a slice of life to be like. It is taking everyone by surprise and leading the charge for this season's anime, and I'm just could not be more pleased.
Fair enough. I will watch it eventually, but
Oh, I know you will.
that day is not today. So
You're coming to visit at some point, and you are going to be locked in the basement, eyes peeled open like the fucking what is
Clockwork
that?
Orange.
Clockwork Orange, just taking it at 10 times speed.
I don't want to be taking anything in your basement,
Death.
but
At least it's clean, according to you. So
this is true. It is cleanly now. We have 3 more shows. If I'm counting correctly, we have 3 more shows to talk about. Let's just get the elephant out of the room. Solo leveling.
yeah,
Solo leveling. I mean, going into this was probably the biggest show of the year by far.
yeah. Well,
Maybe the year, the season for sure, but
sure.
maybe the year as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I mean, we kind of talked about it, and I know that our knowledge of manhwa adaptations are sparse, but the few that we've watched haven't been the greatest. At least that I've watched haven't been the greatest.
Yeah.
This one was one of those like this needs to do well because this is the king of manhwa, and so far it's delivered to me.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's delivered. It's everything that I've wanted. I know that there have been discussions about like, oh, in this latest episode, I think it's episode 4. Sorry, episode 5. So spoilers, minor spoilers ahead. A lot of people were complaining like, oh, like dude went from like I'm the weakest person ever mindset to I'm the strongest ever. Excuse me, let me take care of this thing for you. And it's just like, well, at the same time, spoilers for episode 4, you fucking choke out a goddamn snake beast thing with your bare fist. Yeah, you're gonna change a little bit.
It changes,
like,
man.
You're gonna have a little bit more confidence in yourself now. But I mean, despite that, like little bit of kind of not necessarily negativity, but criticism. I do think that this is a great adaptation. I've read the entirety of the original source material. I remember it was like last year, around this time actually, if I'm not mistaken. I had like read the first volume, and it was so engrossing that I was just like, I gotta read the rest of it. It's done, cool, and I just binge read everything in essentially 2 days. And yeah, no, this adaptation has been great. If you haven't watched it and you've been putting it off, I do highly suggest it. It is fun. If you do want to binge it later down the line, I would do that too, because it is going to be a good binge-worthy show, because there are the episodes like this past one where it is just setup. There are some setup episodes, and it's going to happen throughout the season. So, yeah, it's a great show. It's a great adaptation. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I this is one where I'm actually surprised that people, again, at least from like the reviews speak for themselves, obviously, but when it goes up against the other anime that are coming out this season, it's like being received a little bit lower than how I thought it would be, and I think it's because of that point that you just made, where like I imagine people expected it to be just action, combat, constant, like just go, but there's a lot of setup, not just in world building, but also the environment of being a hunter. Like what does that actually entail? Like it's not just as simple as going into dungeons and beating a boss and then getting all of the loot. It's also dealing with the other factions of hunters and having to grapple with competition and also betrayal and treachery and things like that. So my biggest my biggest problem from this last episode is that we're not going to talk about how this dude's face completely changed. Again, I get it. Well, it changes I know it changes because he's leveling up. I get it, right? I understand. He's getting stronger. He's getting bulkier. That dude went from looking like a middle schooler to looking like he should just be the cover forever and always of GQ magazine.
Yeah.
There was like no transition. He choked out a snake at the age of 12, apparently, is what his face looked like, to I fucked every mom on the planet in the next episode. Which, funny enough, that's basically how the episode started, with all these nurses just getting all hot and bothered talking about him. They're like, his body's good, but his face is it's kind of cute. And then he shows up and
That
he's like,
one,
"Hey, bitches," and they're like,
yeah, that one I never really understood, and I can't even blame that one on puberty because, like, at the beginning of the series, he is 20 years old.
"Yeah, yeah."
Um, so like
It's
it's one
just
of those things that you can't blame that, but I do think that with like I guess with him raising his strength stat, like his body changed and his face is just gonna change. He's gonna lose some of that kind of baby fat and gain a
baby fat.
jawline.
I was gonna
I
say,
don't.
I was gonna say
He's gonna gain a jawline. I
the
guess
the
I don't know.
the only thing I can rationalize here is that he has slimmed so much to where he has produced muscles on his face, and that's
Yeah,
why he looks different. But other than that, I'm like, who turned this toddler into like a fucking runway model?
yeah, it is a bit odd, but if that's like the worst thing about it,
Yeah, like I said,
then like
I still thoroughly enjoy it. Like no complaints, but that just made me laugh from last episode. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
yeah. So we got two shows left. Do you want to go your favorite show or my favorite show?
Well, I already talked about my favorite show.
Okay, sorry, your second favorite show or my
Yeah,
favorite show?
you can talk about your favorite show.
My favorite show, Delicious in Dungeon. I am giddy every fucking Thursday.
It is getting
Every
shit on, by the way. I hope you know that.
I don't fucking care.
I know.
I
I'm surprised. I'm
I
honestly so shocked.
I love this show. This show has been phenomenal from the start. It is literally like I don't know how you can shit on it when it's just like, hey, it's Delicious in Dungeon. We're gonna be cooking monsters in the dungeon.
Yeah,
That's literally what they've been doing. But guess what? They've been exploring the dungeon.
yeah.
You're not in the same setting every week. It has just been a delight. The comedy is there. The cuisine is there. Everything like everything I wanted from the show is there. And the action, when there is action, the action looks stellar. The character like fucking I don't want to say character models because it's not. It's character art
Hmm.
is great. But like on top of it all, like the dialogue had to be there and the dialogue for me is there. And
Yeah,
it is a funny show and I'm thoroughly thoroughly
the
thoroughly enjoying this show.
the one piece that I always enjoy about a good comedy is when it is natural in terms of like just the conversations that take place or the situations that they're put in. It's not something that's forced. You get a lot of anime that like forces the comedy and forces the humor, and it feels less realistic or less like authentic.
Right.
Delicious in Dungeon is the opposite, where like the comedy just is developed through how the characters interact with one another, or how conversations take place, or how like others get involved in their shenanigans. Right? Like this most recent episode, I'm assuming you're caught up. Most
Oh yeah.
recent episode starts with like a completely different travel group, and you're like, okay, weird, and like. Luck is on their side. Things are going well. They just found a bunch of treasure, and then our fucking gang shows up, and
They're all dead.
they're all dead. Like the whole crew's dead, and they're like, "Huh, that's weird." Uh,
Yeah, I will say, I mean, this is minor spoilers, minor. They do like, they do play a bigger role
yeah,
in the overarching series.
I
But
imagine because of the fact that they cast a like protection spell and stuff. But I wanted to point out one thing you said, which was like the combat and action like looks good. I agree. Like the anime itself looks gorgeous.
it's Studio, sorry, God, Trigger.
Yeah,
It's
Studio
Trigger.
Trigger. Yeah.
Trigger is like it's always gonna look pretty.
Oh yeah, looks fantastic. Um, I will say the combat when it is there, they definitely focus more on the comedy than the
Yeah,
combat. They're in this most recent episode, not really a spoiler. Don't worry. They defeat Ghost by taking like holy water and putting it into a bottle, and just the dwarf dude in not even full motion, like stop motion, like just like swings it and then like jumps and swings it. It's like not like fully animated. It's like basically just like a piece of paper, just and then it flips and it goes like that. But that had me rolling. Again, they focus more on the comedy and the
because it is a
irony.
comedy.
Yeah, they focus on that than the combat and action piece. And that's what I appreciate. Like that's if you're gonna market yourself, especially like from the get-go, from episode one, right? Outside of the first scene, which not a spoiler because this is in the trailer. Girl gets eaten by a dragon. Outside of that first scene, the rest of the episode, and then all the way up through this current one, has just been straight comedy and humor.
It's
And
so good. It
yeah,
hit. It's hitting
and again,
every fucking note.
it
And
it's
there,
it's
it's
because it's
comedy.
all natural. Like it's that very challenging piece to nail, which is developing natural humor through your characters' interactions, through the settings that they're in, through just like general dialogue too. Like it doesn't have to be between characters, it can be between like just inner monologuing too. Like they are able to utilize those to perfection to create stellar comedy. And I'm very sad that people have been enjoying it as well based on reviews. Could be because it's on Netflix, who knows?
It
But
probably is.
it is an anime that I think people should watch because it is hilarious. It's also unique because it's like a cooking show in the dungeon.
It'll probably happen in about, we'll call it 3 episodes. But my absolute favorite scene in this series is coming up, and I cannot wait because I know I will be dying of laughter.
Frank has a little sticky note on his calendar with like a
No,
heart around
I
it
know, yeah,
with
right.
the date that it's expected. He's like soon.
Valentine's Day, fuck that. No, we're delicious in
No,
Dungeon Day.
Also, Valentine's Day is like in a week. Also,
No,
happy
I know it is.
Valentine's Day soon to
Yeah,
people.
and we could talk about that next week if you want. But
Oh my god.
yeah, but yeah, no, this show to me has been a fucking delight. Like the reviews on Mal aren't that bad. It's a
Yeah.
7.71, but that's also 18,000 users. Like that's
Yeah,
nothing.
that's like not much.
That's handful of people I feel like can very like affect that score. But
That was
yeah,
my
to
favorite
me
show been received.
it's been, oh, I don't know. I actually haven't seen. I'm sure it's pretty good. But to me, Delicious in Dungeon has been my favorite show of the season, bar none, because it is just a delight. The comedy has been there from just Act 1, and it hasn't let up. And I,
Yeah.
oh, it's so good. But we got one last show, and we'll wrap
Yeah.
it up, and we'll call it a day. So, sir, pop off, tell us about it. Talk to me.
Oh, Hokkaido gals are super adorable. This is a very very good season if you're a big slice of life person, especially variety too in terms of slice of life, getting some good variety. But Hokkaido gals are super adorable. It's effectively just what I expected from the manga. They've done a good job adapting it. The studios that do it are Silverlink and Blade. Wasn't too familiar with them. They did something last season or 2 seasons ago that I watched that was okay. The animation's good. Again, it's a slice of life. I don't need it to look like fucking Ufotable level shit to enjoy it. But it's definitely a slow-ish start. I forgot just how slow the manga starts. But we're finally reaching this latest episode that I actually think came out today.
Yep, it did. I'm actually going to be watching it later tonight.
Yeah, that I watched while biking. Because I was super excited when I saw it. Like finally we get some level of like confrontation and I'm not gonna say discourse, but
Drama.
some adversity, yeah, some drama, and I'm glad that we're getting into it. Like, again, I forgot just how slow it was to start, but I'm glad we're starting to get into it because it's a consistent theme throughout the manga, which I have caught up and completed. It's gonna be wrapping up, I think.
It's on its way out.
Yeah.
Like it's very close to being done, but it's not done quite yet.
Pod, no, don't take him out behind the shed. You the way you said it, you're like it's on its last leg. Yes.
Lenny Kravitz last leg.
Oh, the mangaka I think back in September said like, hey, we're basically wrapping up, which I was like, you know what? It's about time. It's good. I like where
Well,
it wrapped
it
up
did the
too.
traditional, I feel like romance anime where a protagonist, once they pick their partner, that is like 90% of the series. You got 10% left, and then it's done.
Yeah, I mean, there's without
But
spoiling, it's like there's a lot leading up to that point. But yes, but no,
obviously we won't say who. But yeah, like it's like once the partner is picked, you're on a time clock. You're nearly there.
basically. Thankfully, we're not dealing with the situation of like the 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love you. But
It's either you pick it at the very last 90% of the series, like at the end, or it's based right in the very beginning.
well, I think Yamada-kun kind of dissolved that. But anywho,
They're not
um,
technically together. I don't know. Anyways,
um, no, I've very much enjoyed it. Again, I, I knew it wasn't gonna be like anime of the season or like best slice of life even for the year. I doubt it. It was just something that I had looked forward to because I really enjoyed the manga. It was a very much a like classic. I just want to feel good. Like I don't even
Mhm.
want to really think. Like I just want to feel good. There shouldn't be any like hidden layers to like have to dive deep into the characters' psyches or like delve into their past to uncover like hidden trauma that's they're gonna have to like battle through. Like I don't want any of that. I just want
Straight
a
up fun.
very nice, yes, a very nice, very relaxing, again, just kind of looking through the lens of a high schooler in Hokkaido. Like just kind of want to pretend I'm there as another student watching everything unfold, and that's exactly what you get from this. I know
That's
people who have read the Hokkaido Goes Super Dull would be like, excuse me, there's a lot of old trauma that they have to uncover, and I'm like, yes, I know, but they're not going to get to that in the anime yet, so calm down. That's very much later in the manga.
It'll be at the end of the season or something. Who knows?
Oh God, please don't. If they did it at the end of the season, that would be heartbreaking
I
for
mean, they kind of
many
did that with
levels.
Skip and Loafer, but yeah,
Yeah, this one on though, very much so.
I understand what you're
Um, but no, I just this one is again, it's my. I just want to sit back and relax and have a big old smile on my face and enjoy it. Um, whereas my true like number one for the season across all the anime so far, it has been The Dangers in My Heart. I like done gushing about it because I've said enough as is. It's just absolutely superb.
Yes. And thank you all for joining us this week. You are all superb if you made it this far.
Aw.
We will be back next week with a brand new episode. But if you can't wait to hear our stupid voices any further, you can go to our TikTok page or YouTube Shorts, where we are posting twice a day, most days. We
The
do
frequency
try to keep up
changes.
with that. Yes. I should specify weekdays. So if you want to hear more
Yeah.
from us in the shorter form content, go to our TikTok at Baka&Co News or our YouTube page at Baka&Co Company or at Baka and Company. Yeah, I don't know. Baka&Co Podcast. That's what it is.
That's it. Yeah. We're
We
different
we
names
we
everywhere.
really need to like switch our names everywhere. But if you want more, we're there. You can get it. But until next time, Spark Triumph. We'll see you then.